It's the Craig Shoemaker Show with Craig Shoemaker, Sarah Sweet, and Joel Geist.
You're listening to Craig Shoemaker, America.
Who did this to you? Kira Sultanovich is our guest.
You are the love master. But don't you have like 17 kids?
I have another one on the way.
Stop
I
it.
swear to God,
Dude,
a girl.
you need to pull out. We get it. You're fertile.
We have Eric Griffin is here. I'm glad you're here. Why don't you co-host every week? Male co-host.
First of all, I'm looking around and I need to call the NAACP about this.
A lot of people in the room here.
You know what I mean? No, this is honky central right now.
No. We're going to get to that. It's Katie Seagal. You're going to be on a show that I absolutely love. And am I allowed to say it? Are you allowed to say it?
Yeah, which show?
She's got so many of them.
Frangela, they're coming in. Why do you think you should be on The Price is Right? Play the Asian thing. If she goes, it's called Price is Light. I swear to God, we're a winner. I think I have created a person who would be chosen.
You're dangerously close to me telling you, Francis, to go to Price is Right with like a bone in your nose.
Hey, hi, who's this?
Hey, this is John Resnick.
From the Goo Goo Dolls.
From the Goo Goo Dolls, yes.
Everything he sings sounds amazing.
Can you sing Mary Had a Little Lamb?
Mary had a little lamb.
Wherever I am, there is joy and laughter. Yay. No? You hope?
Yeah. Make sure to visit our website, craigshoemakershow.com.
Maybe you can put on your empathy hat. Okay, there it is. Speaking of hats,
For you or your mom.
But this is for me.
Okay.
We're going to go with me on this one. Okay. Mom, we do that often. I do that, but I end up apologizing for her behavior without getting to the crux of what this is really about. And that's about abandoning and shaming a child throughout life, where she'll say, come on, a guy your age, you need to get over it or whatever it is. Well, no, this has been going on since day one of my first memory, and I realized it this morning.
Oh.
I realized this morning it was an indication of a harbinger of things to come. Was my very first memory is my sister being born.
Oh, you remember that?
Oh, I do. It's my very first memory. I was 3 years old, and my mom came down the walkway. We lived in an apartment. And she came down the walkway, and I ran up to her because I hadn't seen her in a while. They go to the hospital and all that kind of stuff. And I ran up. I was so excited. And she goes, look, here's your little sister. And I didn't react the way that she would want me to.
Oh.
I ran the other way under the bed.
Why?
I hid under the bed. Well, I think, in retrospect, as an adult, so I'm trying to be the adult and the child and put myself in that place. I think I probably had a thought of, oh, wow, I got to share my shit.
Yeah.
Everything's just changed on a dime. I think there was some subconscious 3-year-old that was thinking, whoa,
Yeah.
I'm not as happy as you are about this.
Yeah.
Is what I wanted to say to my mom. She's really pleased and thinking I'm going to go, oh my God, I got a little sister. But I'm going, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't prepared for this.
Super normal reaction,
Yeah.
by the way.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I was then punished for that reaction. So that was my first memory. I hid under the bed, and she took a broom and tried to get me out of the bed. And she would take the broom and she could get out of there. And she took the broom and would sweep under, and I was real quick, like a little ferret. I would go, the other side of and then the broom didn't reach, so you have to go to the other side. Get out of there! And then she'd take the broom and try to. It was my first brush with insecurity, so to speak. So I realized it this morning that if you were going to define it all, that I then spent the rest of my life trying to say, can you see me and can you hear me? And not make this about you and your disappointment over my reactions.
Right.
But can you just listen and just acknowledge that you hear it?
Right.
And that was what came up for me this morning. I thought it was a pretty strong epiphany because that's what I've been asking for all along. But she not only doesn't take that road of, that's, come here, let me hug you. She never said I love you, never hugged me, and all that kind of stuff. And by the way, Ray Romano talks about this. He says, my father hugged me. I wouldn't do what I do. Something like that. And it's true because then motivates one to become an artist, a comic, to say, hey, can someone hear me here? Can someone give me the attention that I did not get?
Right.
And again, this isn't coming from some whiny ass place. That's, of course, the two voices are constant inside of me. The one is going, shut up, you whiny bastard. Come on, butch up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But I realize, well, how can that be a message from to a 3-year-old? You don't want that to a 3-year-old. And then, and then the 13-year-old who was kidnapped and I was taken away by this guy, and horrible things in this ghetto hotel in D.C. And that was the other epiphany I had was my mom not only didn't say, oh, my God, that is horrible that was done to my son. She began a process of what she's still doing today, is doing the exact opposite of not only not supporting, but being really like punishing, like that I'm even alive. So she was never angry at the guy that did this until he called late at night and woke her up.
Oh.
And I'll never forget, she goes, my God, he called at 3 o'clock in the morning. He woke me out of a sound sleep. That son of a bitch. I'm going, how about that he molested your kid? You know what I mean? How about that he took your kid away to this ghetto hotel and he spent 4 days in this, not my own desires were not being met.
Yeah.
It was an awful, awful time. And she told me, just forget about it. Forget about that. Don't talk about this ever again. So that again was shut up. Shut up, keep your feelings to yourself, and so on. So I want to say to anybody that's listening or watching, one of the great things that happened in my life was the seeking of truth, finding the truth within me, revealing it, and letting it go. And that's why I don't have to be in a whining position when I say this. It's in a position of power. Of saying, I feel more powerful now that I have revealed those things, that every single time that I do expose something else within me, that it's another notch in feeling more secure and more loved.
Yeah.
Because then that led to this incredible life that I have today. Having to turn away from and literally move 3,000 miles away from that paradigm, that system of being. And my sister also doesn't speak to me because she's in that system.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Have you had to learn to validate your own feelings since somebody was telling you not to feel or your feelings weren't okay? Have you had to come to a place where you say to yourself, like, it's okay to have this feeling about this, I'm not wrong for having a feeling about this?
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's the big battle. See, there's two voices. I posted on Facebook this morning. I've got a large belly right now. Should I show everybody? Anyway, I got a large belly. I wore a tight shirt. Actually, she's got stains on it. What the hell am I wearing stains? Now everybody's going to look at that the entire show. This was a Christmas gift from my kids. So
those are just shadows.
Oh, is it shadows?
I don't think
Okay.
it's not an actual mirror.
No, the shadow just moved as I moved. I think it's a stain. Sorry. I don't know. I should wear a napkin around my neck. But what was the point of? So I woke up today and I had insomnia. I was writing my mom another letter, saying, just saying, can we just narrow this down to? Can you sit in a room with me and just listen?
Why do you think it's still so important to get the validation from her specifically?
Why is that important?
Yeah, like why can't...
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
Because not every time, but so many times that I have this amazing love that's in my life and success in that way. And let's not negate there's also been success in a self-made way in the other ways, the traditional ways of business and such, and a lot of friendships, a lot of deep friendships. And I have these experiences with my children now, and so many times I'll have these experiences and go, oh my God, I'd love to share this with my mom. And then the thought becomes, oh, she'll be so proud of me, or she'll be so happy to share this with me, because we've had so many wonderful times. That's the other part that's sort of the tease, is there's so many wonderful times that take place that I look back at. We had laughed our asses off growing up. That's the part of me that became a comic. The part of me that became a comic was watching her laugh and thinking, I want to make other people happy because she's sad. And one thing I loved was when she was happy and laughing.
Yeah.
It was usually at other people, like a television show. She loved All in the Family and all these different shows. And we would laugh together. Hollywood Squares was our big bonding. And Andy Griffith. So the other day I watched Andy Griffith with my son Jared. We went on a trip together. And now every kid does Barney Fife.
Oh, that's funny.
It was the episode where the criminals are in the jail. And it's such a great episode. You don't know this one? You never saw it? So your parents didn't turn you on to Andy Griffith show?
Yeah, I've seen it growing up.
So Don Knotts, Barney Fife, one of the greatest characters ever, who I ended up doing in my act because my mom would say, watch that show. Again, she would laugh and she loved it. She loved Andy Taylor and the homespun thing. And now I turn my kids on to it and they loved it. I was shocked. So they're all doing... Barney sees they're in jail and he's trying to beat the tough guy. And the guys are in jail. They're from out of town. And Sarah, you got to turn up the volume on your mic. That's what they're saying. I guess I don't know how to do that. Maybe somebody could just poke your head in here and somebody do it. It's okay. Doesn't matter that an arm comes in. We're all candid on this show and honest. There's Dave Neal. Dave Neal, who was on the last podcast. We did a private interview together. All right, are we good now? Okay.
He's handsome.
He's handsome?
Yeah, he's handsome.
I think a lot of women feel that way.
I know a lot of people.
We'll get back to that. Yeah. Okay. He has plenty of affirmations. I have none, okay?
Yeah, okay, let's get back to you. Get back to you feeling good.
So it's the scene where Don Knotts, Barney Fife, he's sort of given the duty of watching these out-of-town gangsters that are in the jail, and he gives them the speech, and he calls the little Mayberry jail the Rock, like it's Alcatraz. He goes, here at the Rock, we have 2 rules. Number 1, obey all rules. And Mike, the kids are doing this now. All 3 of them are all doing. Number 2, there is no writing on the walls, it is difficult. And to watch them laugh is just so cherished to me and such a wonderful moment. And so again, I withstood, an ex-wife trying to take 2 of them away and trying to jail me on false charges and stuff. I withstood to have these moments. Yeah. And they're happening. Yeah. So much so that on my way here, this brought tears to my eyes. My friend Debbie had never met my kids. And we spent... Actually, Stefan and Dave came along, too. We went to watch the Lakers against the Sixers, our Philadelphia Sixers. We all wore our Eagles gear because the Eagles were in the playoffs. We went back in the back room there, and we watched the playoffs. And Debbie met the three, and she said unsolicited, she was did this big talk with me about, oh, my God, I've never met children that I've loved so much as your children. She goes, every one of them is unique and so loving and inviting and fun and knowledgeable. And she goes, each one of them I loved hanging with. And I was like, oh, my God, why can't those words come out of my mother? Just to bring that back.
Yeah.
But that's one of the thoughts. But the other thought is when I see what has been developed, what has been done through a lot of difficulty and anguish and pain and sorrow and all that, what's been achieved. If you're talking about the life of achievement that most people want to achieve, this to me is the one that I want to share with my family that I come from. So I have no mother that speaks to me, no father that speaks to me, no sister that speaks to me. So therefore, it has to remain here. You know what I mean? It has to remain within my own soul and share with my wife and so forth and other friends and things like that, but not those people.
Right.
And that's the part where the challenge is, do you just let go?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah.
All right, so.
I mean, it's driven you that motivation to get that approval has been a driving force. And eventually, what do you do when it's not there? I mean, there's nothing. It's not going to change. It's not going to be different.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to the big one, and I have no idea if our phones are connected. Do you have any idea? Oh, we don't. So we won't have phones. I encouraged people to watch today live because the big announcement, which a lot of people have read on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, is that I am going to retire.
When?
From this desperate need for attention called comedy. I'm gonna retire at New Year's of this year.
Are you kidding?
No.
New Year's. That's your day. You're not going to do comedy anymore.
That will be my final show. Someone already asked me to do that show at his place. I'm probably going to go there. It'll be a big event. And
but you're not going to do stand-up after.
I won't do stand-up in the form that it is now. Now, this is a process, but I threw my hat over the wall, so to speak, and I'm going to go get it. And I made this announcement for a reason. There are several signs that pointed in the direction of a major change that should take place and a transformation. One that has already taken place in my spirit.
Right.
And has manifested itself in this amazing family that I now have. And by the way, friends too. I consider you a great friend.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been a wonderful 2 years that I've just, and we've been through like a brother-sister, father-daughter relationship. But what's happened is magnetically, people like you have come into my life, and those are my family now.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful feeling. I cherish it and love it and embrace it. And it's an incredible feeling. But I don't get that anymore. I don't get the same feelings through doing stand-up as it is now. So several things are going to take place. For sure, I'm going to say goodbye to Barney Fife and the Love Master.
What?
Yeah.
So you're retiring those characters?
Well, but I'm retiring the whole act.
Yeah. Wow.
So it might manifest itself. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud as a one-person show in theaters, which I love theaters a lot more than I do stand-up clubs. Mm-hmm. Because in a stand-up club, that's why I love doing this show, is because I'm not after a laugh every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I don't have that desperation feeling of, do you know that that's what's propelled me all of these years? You've seen my act.
It's so good, yeah.
Well, but part of the reason it's good, if you're going to pare it down to the core, is, oh my God, I am like a heart surgeon, and I'm not going to make one mistake. I'm going to do this the way it's supposed to be done and make sure that this person that I am operating on walks out completely healthy. This is the same feeling that I have, that feeling of, I don't want to call it desperation, but that feeling that the stakes are very high if I don't get a laugh every few seconds.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Huh.
The stakes are extremely high with me. And it propels me and energizes me, but in a way it's not healthy because it's not organic where it's coming from anymore. It used to come from that place because, I said before, I wanted, people to quote unquote love me. I wanted the attention. I wanted to get laid. Mm-hmm. The women always lie to me and say they're looking for a sense of humor.
It helps. I mean, it's true,
it's not
though.
funny.
Funny.
It's not true.
It helps.
It does help.
Yeah.
It is sustainable that way. I marry people now that I'm a minister. And,
I thought you were talking about how many marriages you've had.
Let's not get to that. That's not funny at all. But no,
So you're saying it's not healthy now because your motivation is different?
My motivation is different. So if I were to do this again, I would want a theater atmosphere without checks going out. Have you ever done a check spot? Have you ever headlined a room where they're giving out checks in the middle of maybe one of your most important things of your act, and people are now looking down, and now they have the phone out with the flashlight app? Yeah. So you see it. So instead of like the old days when they're holding up lighters for an encore, they're now holding up this freaking light. Who had tax? Wait, are we going to go Dutch? I mean, it's what I have to hear now. I'm say, hey, whoa. This doesn't jive with the getting attention phase of my program here. But if you're going to present something in art, you want all of it to be heard and seen. Mm-hmm. So therefore, comedy clubs are not the best place for that. It's also not a place where you can explore sort of the darker places because people get really uncomfortable in a comedy club and they get drunk and then they get ornery and then they're pissed and then they yell out at you. Where you're just saying, stay with me now. Love Master coming. Yeah. Don't worry. They start yelling, Love Master. Like Tourette's syndrome. Where's the Love Master? Damn it, I didn't pay to hear this. And then there's the old, I didn't pay to hear this. Yeah. So I would love to talk about my father. Never did it.
Yeah.
Never do on stage because it's so fictitious almost in just saying what the truth is about his story, but I never talk about it. One-man show, I did. I did one-man show once, and I absolutely is one of the best pieces I've ever done. Same with the book that I just wrote. Oh, you read part of the book. I say part, and that's why she laughed, because she never finished it. But that book is very, very much deep and exploratory on, how one does go through obstacles and end up with having inner Shangri-La.
Well, what were the signs that pointed to getting out now?
Well, I had several signs. And one of them, they say there are no accidents. One of them is, did we talk recently about the choice that I made years ago about turning away from the standard comedians, that pool of comedians, which is very toxic, and they all hang out with one another. And they have chat rooms, and they have different podcasts that go on, and they talk about who's a hack, who's a thief, who's an asshole, and they have that whole thing. Have I ever talked about that? No is the answer? Okay, then I'll talk about it for the first time. Okay, so comics, as you know, are very, very bright people. So equipped with the language of weaponry. It's the greatest weapons you can have is language and thought and intelligence, but it's used against as opposed to we're all for one another.
Right.
So I purposely, years ago, because, I get these labels, oh, he's this, he's that, I purposely turned away from it, which, by the way, is very sad that I don't get to watch stand-ups because I don't want to be influenced. That's one thing. And I just want to be true to self. That's the other thing. And the other thing is I don't want to be in that toxic pool.
Right.
I don't want to be in it.
Very toxic.
Yeah, it's very toxic.
Yeah.
And we have not had them, that ilk on our show. And we will, though, because I would like to confront this, especially now that I'm retiring. So I accidentally, there are no accidents, but I accidentally, after just stating to Dave that I don't go there, I stumbled upon, in watching this show, there was a YouTube clip, and it said, Opie and Anthony slam comedian Craig Shoemaker.
Oh, no.
That was the name of it.
Yeah.
And put the empathy hat back on.
Yeah.
Put it on.
I
Can you imagine, just for a moment, that you're listening now to a show that they don't think you're listening to?
Right.
You're just listening to three people talk about you in the worst way they could possibly talk about you. So think about how you feel right now.
Yeah.
Now, add to that they're playing a recording of you over and over again and analyzing every word that comes out of your mouth. How do you feel?
Terrible.
Seriously?
Yeah, that's
you smile
awful.
when you say that, but do you really feel it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the empathy hat's on, the compassion hat is on. I listened to it. It was from 2006.
Oh, Jesus.
But it was as if it happening. I wanted to leap, and you. By the way, let me ask you, where do you go if you have somebody that's scrutinizing, analyzing, judging you harshly? Where do you go with that? Internally, what's your first instinct? What do you want to do?
You die internally.
Die? Okay, you just go with die.
I mean, you get angry, your feelings are hurt, ashamed, embarrassed, not wanting to show my face. Like, it's super humiliating.
Stefan says we need to take a break. I'm not going to take a break. They're still working that crap off in there. We're just going to keep going. No, I'm not going to read anything. We're in the middle. This is something that I really want to get to the core of this. Because you're an artist, Sarah, and you're an amazing artist. But I know instinctually that you also have your own little hurdles, and this is one of them, is the being judged issue. And that's the irony of what we do for a living, is we are being judged every moment, of every second of every time we step on a stage, and this thing that we're doing now, that's what we're subjected to.
Yeah.
This was
worst
that
part of it.
times 1,000.
Yeah.
Because I had just won an award. So now the one comedian who's on there, Jim Norton, is really riled up. And so are they, that who's this guy to deserve this award?
I heard comics such assholes. Like, they really are. Like, any success you get, I've noticed this with comics, is when somebody gets successful, they become the biggest dicks. Like, to that person that has such assholes.
Right. And we all know what it is. which you want,
jealousy.
which the part that I was asking you, do you have something inside of you that wants to go to defense?
Yeah, for sure.
You want to defend yourself.
Yeah.
So they're analyzing and scrutinizing my act.
Yeah.
And
fuck those
specifically the Love Master, because it was voted the top thing at that time on XM radio.
Yeah, I'm sorry he has fans and you guys don't.
Oh my God! But
Yes, guys, you get defensive. Yeah.
yeah. See, you're not even me, and you're already going to, yeah, sorry there, jealous guy. You know, I mean, insecure little prick.
Yeah.
And see, that's where you're going. Imagine me in a hotel room listening to this, and my whole body was shaking, wanting to. Now, I will tell you all the emotions that were going through me. One is, I was picked on as a kid. I was really a little kid, and I was in a locker room once. It was like a coyote wilding. I was at a new school, and it was as if I was a varmint, a small rodent that these coyotes had to share.
Yeah.
They ripped my underwear to pieces. They hung me from a locker. They smashed me. They punched me. They humiliated me. They embarrassed me. They shamed me. They took me down. They ripped my clothes off. And they did all sorts of things. And I had no way to defend myself. But in my mind, I was going, someday I'll get back at these guys. And the only way it's going to happen is, at that time, the only way it was going to happen was through my wit.
Yeah.
But now, what's strange is I'm big.
Yeah.
I became big, and I actually can beat up most people now. I learned how to fight, learned how to karate, wrestling. I can really kick some ass.
Yeah.
And yet the other guy came in that ruins it all. Spiritual man. So that's what's fighting at all times. These voices inside of me are fighting. They're going, come back at him. You can defend yourself. You and by the way, my wit is also sharp. So there's another weapon. I'll take them apart. So that's what I was compelled to do, even though it's 2006, for God's sakes. They probably don't even know who I am. So it's Opie and Anthony, a very big show that I've never been on. And I kept saying to myself, I'm going, if you only heard me on other radio shows, you guys, why don't you have me on? I'll show you how funny I am. I want to show. Again, same thing. That's not organic. That's not real. That's not good. As opposed to what your advice was, even with my mom, is accept it and move on. And that's been the choice I've had. But this time it brought me back into the old fighter, I'm going to come back. So that was one sign that pointed to, okay, why don't you listen to what they are saying?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Listen to what they are saying about what's hacky and what's not, well written, or what's written in a non-organic way. So as they're analyzing and taking apart the Love Master, and I roll my eyes when I say that, there's another part of me that's going, well, yeah, if you don't get it, if you don't get what I'm doing, the Love Master, to break it down for you, you know what it really is? Like the cynics want to just go, look at that, he tells a dick joke. No, what it is I'm making fun of guys like that.
Yeah.
And we have Tom Leykis coming up, by the way. Speaking of, a sexist guy that women all say they don't want and end up with, he's the guy that combats that.
Yeah.
He's that little kid in me that was always the F word, friend to all the girls, and he's the guy that's saying, I got what you want, baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the character I developed. These guys took it serious, like, look at that. And it was amazing to me. I wanted to just yell, don't you get it? You're the idiots, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
You're the idiots, because would you do this with Larry the Cable Guy or Pee Wee Herman or anybody that's developed a character? It's a freaking character.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other side of me, though, went, why don't you just be smarter and smarter and smarter, more creative, more creative, more creative? And that's the way to, I don't want to say get back,
right,
but I do want to say that's the way to feel better and more secure, that you won't be subjected to things like this. When it is more organic and more thought out and more creative and more inventive and more inspired than that is, which is an old bit. They had a song that I used to do. I didn't even recognize my own voice. My voice is so freaking high.
Yeah.
I'm going, they're walking down the street feeling real incomplete. That's my voice.
Oh, wow.
That's how I talked back then.
Yeah.
Watching the girls go by. It was a song. something was missing. And I'm going, ah! It was killing me. First of all, I don't even like my voice, let alone in 1994, which is what they were playing. So
what an amazing thing, like to take it and look at it for the good of what you actually do want to do something different, you know, and continue to move on and grow.
Yeah.
And wow, that's pretty incredible to be able to listen to that and then find the good in what they were saying for your own personal life.
Well, I hadn't thought of it that way, but
yeah, that's pretty great.
I guess that's one of the things that happened. Was there's the fighter who battles against the guy that wants to evolve.
Right.
And the guy who evolves is what I would aspire to be, is that guy that just constantly wants to grow, change, transform, pass on to others, you know, whether it's wisdom, laughs, inspiration, whatever it is, personal power, whatever that is, then pass that, what I'm getting, on to others. And hopefully that's what people get out of even this conversation. And that's what you got out of the conversation, just that little, you're giving me the feedback, which we can't get because everything's not happening out there in the aquarium. They're not able to get the phone calls, I don't think, right? No phone calls, they're not even listening. Anyway, so that was one thing that happened. Then I happened to tune into, I don't listen to podcasts for the same reasons. Right? Well, not into it.
Yeah.
I listened to one a while ago because it was Todd Glass, my old roommate, coming out of the closet on Mark Maron's show. Something, again, probably a divine nudge, had me listen to another podcast, which was, again, Mark Maron, but he had Jim Brewer on, who's also an old friend of mine.
Okay.
And Brewer has also been through, and it was as if he was speaking to me. Of which maybe even what I'm saying today is speaking to someone out there, one person. That's all it takes. And I have heard from people that indeed that is what takes place when you tell the truth.
Right.
So Brewer told the truth about some painful stuff, some things that have happened that appeared to be obstacles, appeared to be something that would be really difficult, like this that you're talking about, and he grew from it. And then he got a call from Bill Cosby. I'm going to wait till he comes on to tell you, because he's going to come on in a few weeks. I'm going to wait for him to tell you what Bill Cosby, out of nowhere, calls him out of nowhere. Only him, Bill Cosby, and says, I need to talk to you.
Oh, please tell us what he said.
I need for you to hear me when I tell you this. You need to tell your truth.
Ooh,
and that
good.
Was basically, and it's paraphrasing, doing a bad impression of Bill Cosby, to tell you that again was ringing inside of me. Whoa, baby, your stand-up is not entirely the truth. So find the vehicle where you can tell more of it.
Yeah.
Find the space that you can create something that is profound and different, unique to you, and organic. That was the next sign, was listening to him on there. And then I talked to him yesterday, Brewer. We talked for like 2 hours. And sure enough, yeah, I knew that there was something that he was speaking to that was really ringing inside of me. And sure enough, 1,000 parallels we have in common, including the insecurity, including he was shut out of Saturday Night Live by the intellectual elite, so to speak. And they literally had him fired from the show.
Oh, wow. Because
he wasn't in the club.
Yeah.
Now, what did I just talk about earlier? I'm not in the club. I'm not in that stand-up club of the guys that, you know, that believe themselves, they deem themselves to be better than other people. And if I ever scrutinized their act or played back their act, I guarantee you I could pick it apart piece by piece, tell you where it's derivative from, tell you who else has done material similar to this. But because they're in that club, it's almost like a safety in numbers. You know, I don't want to name names on who they are, but we pretty much do know who they are. They're kind of bullyish, and he has been subjected to that. So what he did was he removed himself from it, and now he has this act that is very Bill Cosby-ish, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
So if I ever do come back and do comedy after the new year next year, it will be similar to what Brewer did, and it's going to be an act that is true to self completely, with no bailouts. You see, we have safety nets and bailouts. A Barney Fife impression is a bailout.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to go explore some better writing instead of doing an impression or a sound effect or and so on. I mean, I'm just being honest that this is what I've done, is what a lot of people do. And Brewer would do, hey, it's happy feet. Hey, look at my crazy eyes. You know, that's what he would do. And now he's talking about dealing with his kids because that's what's real.
I mean, that's what made Louis C.K. huge, is when he retired his old material.
He did,
and then started talking about his kids. Like, now he's like an unstoppable force. I think that's one of the bravest things ever, because that you have your whole career based on, you know, certain things, and you have a family to provide for, and you have all of the success and your fan base who wants certain things, and you're saying, I'm going to take a risk and be true to myself and move forward. Like, that's a big deal.
It is a huge deal because, as you just said, now there's the part of I've developed all of this, there's a monthly nut based on I made a certain amount of money for decades.
Yeah.
Decades I've been doing this.
Yeah.
I've been doing this since junior year of high school.
Yeah.
And by the way, they used to say, you need something to fall back on. Well, they've been in 9 careers and I've been in 1. You know, I mean, all the people that didn't think it was a safe career have done, you know, really well. But it's time to evolve and move in a different direction.
Right.
And that will be in a number of different ways. This book that's coming out, Grace book, is the greatest work I've ever done, and it's the most honest I've ever been. And that will come out. And then I've written about 5 different television shows to produce and maybe be in. Doesn't matter to me. Again, my ego's out of it.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's the big indication is I don't have the ego drive anymore. It's driven by purpose now, as opposed to the purpose being to get over, get by, get over. All those gets is different now. And now it's really a matter of, you know, we're made by the creator, right? The creator. Well, it's the same word as create. So all creativity that comes out now, it can manifest itself in a million different ways.
Right.
It doesn't matter. It could be this show. It could be, you know, the other television show that we'll be doing soon. It could be a reality show that I pitch and produce. It could be that I host the show. It could be a voiceover. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to keep exploring these. And then the other thing is, the other indication or sign is, what did I want most in life? What was my biggest goal? Was to have the family that I didn't come from. You know, to create again, a home that I would want to come home to and have comfort and ease and beauty and wonderment and magnificence and laughter and silliness. We howl laughing at my cheapness the other day. Also my stupidity. Ever since my wife is pregnant, I start getting baby brain. And you know what baby brain is?
What's baby brain?
Well, it's sort of like you give your brain away to children. So now I'm splitting it 4 ways now. Starting in a week, it's going to be split 4 ways. So I can't find my car half the time in parking lots.
Oh, man.
And then someone told me if you put your keys inside of your mouth and then press the thing that it can, the car can hear you at a bigger distance. Have you heard this one?
No.
I actually think I'm being punked by my son because he's the one that told me this.
Oh, for sure.
He goes, it bounces off your cavities or something.
I can't believe you fell for that.
I fell for it. Not only have I fallen for it, I started the car from a ways away. So I actually do think that it works. You'll be trying it later.
Yeah. Well,
See how far.
If I had an alarm in my car.
You know, okay. Well, this goes for, you know, those little those fobs, those remotes.
Yeah.
If you put it in your mouth, apparently the distance that you can find your car becomes greater.
I don't think that sounds healthy, though. Bouncing off your cavities.
I don't know. I don't know what the actual specifics are, but I have tried it and it's worked. So anyway, my brain is a bit divided, and I went to CVS to get some things for myself, and I found the sale rack for Christmas. Okay? This is 2 days ago. And I was so proud of myself because I thought ahead, which I normally would buy things at their maximum during Christmas season and then use them then and then never see them for another year, and then you pull them out again. But so I got Christmas balls for the tree.
Yeah.
that retailed for $9 and I got them for 18 cents.
Get out of here.
Then I got thinking to myself, oh my God, you are so clever. You're now going to get a stocking for the daughter that's about to be born. So I see this cushiony stocking that says adorable, intelligent, cuddly, beautiful, has a little place for a picture, okay? And I'm going, but I was so out of it and so blinded by the deal, 28 cents for a stocking that retailed for over $8. And I went, oh my God, my wife is going to love this, that I have a stocking for our little daughter that says cuddly, has all these words on it, with a little place for her picture. And we'll put it on my new fireplace, also part of my nesting. And then I hear this howling in the other room. This is like hours later. That apparently I missed something. That the picture that they use, they use models for a picture, and you put your own in there for the frame. So there's a frame that's glued to the stocking. It's a freaking kitty cat with paw prints around it. It's a stocking for a cat, and I missed one of the words with adorable, cuddly. I didn't picture that meant a cat. The last word was meow.
Oh.
So I hear them in the other room. Oh my God, all of them. 4-year-old heckling me. Dad!
That's really cute.
But they're ripping on me. And that's what has been created by tapping into the source of a creator, not my own ego or not my own self, just to have moments like that are pure silliness, happiness. And that through all of this is what was made. And that is something that, again, way back, that I want to share with my mom, my dad, my sister, and it ain't going to happen.
No.
I guess.
Yeah.
See, so I had to qualify with I guess because I can't give up.
No, well.
And that's part of me that gets on stage and does those long shows is I ain't giving up. I'm going to give you everything.
Yeah. So you're saying your motivation then for all of this was to get that family that you have now. So now that you've
and now that I have that, so here was one of the other signs. Jackson, the 4-year-old, he cops an attitude with me, and we figured it out why he does it and when he does it.
Why?
He does it as a coping mechanism, and by the way, all the kids do because they know daddy's going to go bye-bye for 4 or 5 days or 3-4 days.
Right.
So as a coping mechanism, he backs off.
Yeah.
He normally, you've seen him before, he just walks up and just did it this morning. I love you, Daddy.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere because he knows I'm around.
Yeah.
If I don't, and we play a little game where he wipes away my kiss, and I go, you wiped away my kiss. And it's a little thing we do, and he goes, and he wipes away. I go, you wiped away my kiss, and I act like I'm mad. I go, and then I start kissing him all over. I go, wipe those away, and I go, like Curly from the Three Stooges. Another thing that we do, and we have all these little customs that we've been doing for years, and we've developed them, and they're original, and they, even though my wife steals them from me, but anyway, but I get such just an immense feeling of joy and fulfillment from those moments as opposed to being handed a check.
Right.
I've never been handed a check, even how I've had large checks. I was handed a check one time. I couldn't even believe it. It was what people make in a year one time. But I didn't get the check and go, I have made it.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that has. That's why I can't even understand why people keep searching for money, 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 as if you can't literally look at money. It's an illusion anyway. It's printed. It's printed. You could write a check and it could be valueless. It doesn't matter. But doesn't hold the same value as that of those moments, that moment by moment by moment that I'm having now with this family. And by the way, my friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends across the street and down the street and people I golf with and stuff like that. And I'm having the greatest time. And that I can't have as much when I go on the road because I've had people that deal with me going on the road in all of their safety ways. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see people I haven't seen in 10 years tonight. We're all going out.
Yeah.
Used to hang out all the time. One of them was my old roommate. 10 years? That's ridiculous. And you know why? Because people go, I'm having a party. I'm not going to invite Shoemaker because he'll say no. He's going on the road. He works on weekends.
Right.
So that's been going on for decades. Now, that's not like poor me. Look, I dig what I do, and I love that people are coming to the audiences and laughing and standing and applauding. I think it's wonderful. And then we talk afterwards, we connect. But there's a certain point where, it's a sacrifice that I don't know that I'm willing to make anymore, or I know that I'm not willing to make the sacrifice for what I'm doing on that stage, at least.
Yeah.
So at least that's going to change. Let me see what some people say here. We have some Facebook posts.
How are you gonna make money?
Well, that's the only scary part. The scary part is not leaving comedy. The scary part is providing for my family.
Right.
And by the way, we'll talk about this when Lycus comes on.
Yeah.
There's one thing I'm in alignment with him is about divorce and how my money is completely gone now because of my divorce. And so I am compelled to provide for the children. But when it comes college time, which is 3 years for one of them, what the hell am I going to do?
Right.
So that's the scary part is...
And he doesn't get good enough grades to get scholarships.
He doesn't have good enough grades to get scholarships, just to make the translation of what you said into your mouth, in your hand. He doesn't have good enough grades to get scholarships or have the athletic ability to get scholarships. It's all going to come on me, of which I could do what my mom did, go pay for your own school. I paid for every dime of my school. No, I worked my ass off. I didn't like it. We have a Twitter from, I don't know who it's from. It says Craig Shoe Show. It says OMG with a lot of exclamation points. I am glued in all capitals to the show today. Riveting. Hashtag riveting.
What are chicken freckles? Chicken pox?
I don't know.
Can you tweet? Can you just do an
Tweet
explanation
back, yeah.
of what?
She's actually an old favorite. But anyway, people have been responding to this basic proclamation that I made, throwing the hat over the wall. Now I'm going to go get it. They've been responding in all different ways, and I really appreciate every one of the responses, even if it's Bobby Slayton saying, "You're a few years too late. Better now than never."
What a
Retiring. I love Slayton. Whenever Slayton sees anything sensitive, remember when we had him on the show? Yeah. I said I do gratitude lists with my family. Gratitude list. What's wrong with you? Gratitude list. It looked like he was so puzzled, like I was telling him a chemical theory. What are we talking about?
Are you saying you're going to retire act? Retire from comedy or retire?
Retire my act.
Okay, so not retire from comedy.
No, retire stand up as it's done today.
Okay.
As it is done in clubs, as it is done in through the basic stand-up form as it is now, where I can explore the stuff about my father being a cult leader and running mule rides. I can't talk about that on stage because people go, he's making this up. Where's the punchline? Yeah. Whereas a one-man show, which I would like to tour with, which I've done before, you can get deep and dark. You can really take them on a journey. Journey is what I'm about. Wizard of Oz. It's my favorite movie, which we're doing a movie, by the way, a documentary. What I really want to do, and I'm compelled to do, is this documentary about the healing powers of laughter. Yeah. Which we'll talk about that in the very near future, because we're going to have the people that listen and watch that are really into the whole it's a movement that I'd like to create of laughter being a healing modality and how it uplifts and what it does to us chemically and physically and emotionally, what it does. That now moves me more than, oh my God, I got to get a laugh. I used to walk off stage, and by the way, another thing, I look back, and I'm doing a lot of looking back, obviously. Yeah. I used to walk off and say to other comedians, I killed. That was their invitation to me. Yeah. Then they do. I like walk in a room and I say, "You're Shoemaker. I killed. Oh, yeah. That's awful. And now I don't have that anymore. I mean, the last show was the last show. You know what I mean? And then it's on to the next. Brea Improv this weekend.
Some condiments and some cheese and meat.
I still do that.
Yeah, and go up to your room.
Why'd you say steal? They give it to me.
They give it to you.
I just overdo it.
You just take all of it.
I have a photo that you took of me outside the elevator. I literally
2 giant trays.
giant trays. I couldn't
and
even
a bag of rolls, like a giant bag of rolls.
like Santa Claus with toys, and they had it in our dressing room, and I had to go all the way through the casino in front of people that had just seen the big performer perform, and there I am with lunch meats. Like it was like I was supplying a buffet deli. Yeah. And you were going, what are you doing?
Fit in his fridge, so like half of them were on. Like
I like you go couldn't fit in his fridge
I didn't
because you're
have a
ratting on me.
fridge.
No, you're not saying it to me. You're telling it to the people. You're going, he couldn't even fit in his fridge. He's such a greedy little bastard. That's what you're saying. You're basically you're outing me. I agree.
Even it was in Laughlin. We drove there. He even took the trays back to Los Angeles with us in the back of the car.
And had a party. I had a party. What's up, brother? You won't believe who just walked in. Do you remember the Sex Pistols?
Jones.
Yeah, it's Jonesy. Come here, Jonesy. I don't know if there's a room for you on camera. What's up, brother? I haven't seen you in years. How you doing, man? Great to see you.
Good.
Give me some love.
You all right?
Come on over. I'm doing great. Have a seat here. I don't know if we have a camera for you. Did you guys work out the cameras here? Yep. Jonesy, I don't know if you've ever heard, but he has this thing that I used to listen to for years. This is Sarah. Steve Jones, sex. We had another Steve Jones on here, by the way. Not an imposter. He was a hypnotist.
Oh, him.
Oh, you know him too?
No.
So, you know about a microphone? Did you used to use those back in the day? And so as primitive as it gets. How are we doing? Are you doing all right? Good, yeah. We get the air on here. I just love this. We haven't seen each other in years. Last time I saw you, I think we were spinning. We're in spinning class. Yeah. Oh, you have to keep your image of being a Sex Pistol. Little did they know the Sex Pistol
Goes to spinning class.
Goes to spinning class in Beverly Hills.
Do you have spinning shoes too? Is that hooking?
And I was in back of him looking at his ass. I was much more inspired by Natalie. Were you there with Natalie Portman? Did you used to hang out with her there? Yeah, Natalie Portman was in our class, and Punky Brewster.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah, I watched
So they'd be in
show.
front of me, and that would be like motivation. I'd be spinning. I go, I got to catch that ass and eat it.
Weird.
That's what, but except for his.
Yeah.
So Jonesy had a thing.
Eat my ass.
No, I don't want to eat your ass or your ass. So I haven't seen you in ages. What a surprise that he walks in here.
Yeah.
So the legendary Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, he had a show. I don't know if you still have it. I listen to it all the time. I used to listen to it called Jonesy's Jukebox. Now, where are you doing that show anymore? It's the greatest. Where you choose your. Might bring it here. Might bring it. That's why you're not here to see me. You're here to maybe make a deal to bring Jonesy's Jukebox back.
I did see you stand-up special one. Was it HBO?
Showtime, yeah.
Showtime a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was good. It was funny.
Well, thank you. Notify your face that you thought it was funny. What kind of a review was that?
Well, I mean, I'm saying it was
You
funny.
see-
What do you want me to say? See, comedians are so fucking insecure.
We just had
Unless
a
you're
whole.
jumping up and down.
Wait,
fucking-
we just had an hour on that.
Huh?
We just had.
Oh, really?
On the outside, I was like, oh, that was underwhelming.
Oh, you thought so too? It was a little under.
But then I thought, well, maybe this.
I think that actually that was his way of saying that he really did enjoy it.
I wouldn't have said nothing.
That's true. You could have done with that. So my insecurity should have dealt with that in a different way.
Yeah.
I should have said he wouldn't even be bringing this up. He could have just ignored it or even not even
Well, you weren't
remembered I
even
am
talking about it.
That's
I just
true.
brought
You
it up.
You just brought it up out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
I said I liked it. It's very good.
Thank you
And
very much.
And he thinks like he wants to kill himself now.
I'm retiring from stand-up. I announced it about an hour ago.
Yeah.
We've been talking about it. And now you're the perfect person to talk to about this because of your years of doing music, punk music, way ahead of your time, way ahead of the game because they were the first. And huge success being one of the Sex Pistols. When you came to that point in your life, have you come to that point in your life where you just went, I'm moving on?
Well,
I'm moving
I
on.
did that a long time ago.
Long time ago. And what was that like? I need to hear it because I'm moving on.
That's just go with your instinct, you know.
Yeah?
I mean, it wasn't long after the Sex Pistols when I moved out to Los Angeles and I grew my hair very long and was working out and you know, did like a mellow album. It's completely what you would not call punk rock, but
Right.
you know.
And how was that both inside and outside. How was that? What was the response to your insides from doing the album, and what was the response from the outside people that have a difficult time accepting? Hey, wait a minute, that's not the guy I
Yeah,
know.
well, the diehards are always upset. They want you to be that guy forever. You know.
My point, exactly. They want me to be the love master forever.
Yeah, that was funny, that bit. The rest of it was okay, but that bit's really good.
Oh, great. That's the first thing I'm retiring. I'm moving on from the Love Master. And now the great Steve Jones goes, oh, now that part I liked. So
I'm kidding.
I know you're kidding. So how did you feel inside once you did that, what you call the mellow album? How did that feel for you?
It was great. I mean,
yeah?
it's what I wanted to do, you know.
So you responded more to your, as we were talking about earlier.
The instincts.
The instincts, the creator, and you were responding to that as opposed to what would have mass appeal or what would appeal to other people who know you as a certain way.
Well, unfortunately, most people get talked into what they think you should be doing.
Yeah.
And not what you really want to do yourself, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, you really want to do a mellow record? No, I don't think. I think you should do more. You know, it should be more. You know, and then you listen to other people. That's the key: is not listening to anyone. A couple of people you should listen to, but not every time.
Who were they?
Huh?
I need to know those people.
Yeah.
Well, you got to listen to, obviously, and I think you're into meditation. You got to listen to that silence.
Right.
That's a big key, to not listen to fears, because that's part of what meditation's about, and getting to know oneself is moving beyond those fears, because that's what makes you do. That's what motivates you in the beginning, especially, is fear. Oh my God.
There is no right answer.
That's true.
You know what I mean? There's no right answer.
That's what the silence also tells you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if what you feel called to do, you do it, and it's never as successful as what you were doing before? Like, does that matter? Does that ever occur to you, or is it
I don't know.
No.
That's never happened.
Well, what you did do was you did create the show that you wanted to create. I listened to it. And again, it was not for the masses. He went on an independent radio station. It's called Jonesy's Jukebox, and he played the exact music that he wanted to hear, that he would want other people to hear, and sharing it with others, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, where I want to go in my career, is I want to keep sharing the gifts that we're given as artists.
Yeah.
But it needs to manifest itself in a different way. And it doesn't have to have results as being, it's not results oriented anymore. It's just listening to self. And the results are not in your hands. That's one thing that I'm sure you've been dealing with for a long time, ever since. Was there an official retirement from the Sex Pistols?
No, we're still, we can gig if we need to.
Yeah.
We're still all alive, the original bass player, not Sid Vicious, but the original bass player. We've done shows in 2003. In 2008, we did a tour of Europe for like 30 shows.
Really? So you can basically, when you need some cash.
We need a new kitchen. New roof, something.
If you're like a psychic and you're like hanging out with the Sex Pistols, you could never have predicted that, 30 years from an interview, that Steve Jones would be going, if you need a kitchen. that would be his inspiration for actually going out and doing another concert. Well, when you were doing the shows back then, which was a completely different you, was there a part of you that was just, was there any self-evaluation that was going on? It was saying,
I hated it.
You hated it, yeah.
Because I hated myself.
Yeah.
Now looking back,
yeah,
I wasn't a happy camper at all,
Yeah. How about these days?
I'm a lot more happier.
Yeah, isn't it great?
23 years.
What's that?
Sober.
Sober 23 years?
Yeah.
That was the big. Was that? Would you call that the key moment?
Oh yeah, of course.
That was the moment that.
Absolutely.
That it was now the journey to happiness was beginning.
Yeah, it's not happiness all the time, but
of course not,
most of the time,
Right.
I way prefer to be 58 than 22,
Yeah.
Any day of the week.
Yeah.
I don't get as much pussy as I used to. But, all you need is a few bucks, man. Just need a few bucks.
Or a wife that's horny.
No.
No.
I like new ones.
Oh, Bill!
I know.
I'm
sorry.
so on your side.
Well, we were
I'm
massaging
sorry.
you.
I have problems. I'm not just because I'm 23 years old, I still have mental issues going on.
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
You're good.
And I don't mess about like I used to.
He's massaging you and preparing you. Huh? He's massaging you, preparing you for our next guest, Tom Likas.
Oh, man.
Because that's light for what you're going to get with Tom Likas. It'll turn into a completely different show. Do you see how nervous she is? You know Tom Likas, right?
Yeah, I just met him out there.
Oh, is he out there?
Yeah. I got to get going. I'm here for a meeting.
I know. Actually, I do too. We have to take a break. But
if
Steve
you know
Jones?
any girls who need their phone bills paid, let me know.
That's all you have to offer is a phone bill?
I'm cheap.
How about a kitchen?
No, fuck it.
Steve Jones. Steve Jones.
Yes.
How about
Nice
that?
to meet you, love. Sorry I upset you.
No, you didn't really.
No, you
just
didn't. No,
spark an
you're just
insecurity.
prepared. Exactly. Sarah, sweet. So great hanging out with you. Steve Jones, that was pretty cool. But we're going to take a little break. I don't know what we're playing on the break. I think maybe an old video or something. By the way, did you get your shoes from Healthy Feet Store?
I did. I love them. We got slippers.
You
These house slippers. I need them
love
because they I don't like my feet touching floors, so I have them and they're so cozy.
Awesome. HealthyFeetStore.com. I'm wearing my shoes, my dress shoes that I'm going to be wearing all year for my retirement tour. Bray Improv this weekend. See how I get all the promo in at once? These are comfy, too. They're wonderful shoes, and that's what they have there. Over 50 brands of men's and women's shoes, from New Balance and Brooks, and all sorts of shoes to choose from. HealthyFeetStore.com.
Yes.
Go there, and then because I don't know the code, let's just go with the old code, all right? Laugh It Off 2013. I know it's 2014. I know we need a new code, but still, you can go there and use that code, and you will get a percentage off, and they'll send it to you. They'll ship it to you, free shipping and all that stuff. Sarah's enjoying hers. Joel's enjoying his shoes. You get your shoes, Joel? Is your microphone working?
I did.
Nice try,
nice try.
Jesus.
It's still not working.
I'm working on it.
Jesus can't make the microphone work or turn wine into water in there. But so Joel has a new pair of shoes. Oh, there we go. We'll get to that later. All right, we're good. We're going to take a break right now. Go to HealthyFeetStore.com and help our show out because we're going to start paying some people around here. Right,
Craig
Sarah?
needs a job now, too.
Upcoming shows to the John Lovitz Vodcast Network.
Welcome to FYI. It's Dimitri Young here with Robert Fick. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Talking Marijuana.
Hi, everybody. Crabman's Rock and Roll Revival featuring Frazier Smith is on the air, in your hair, and going out everywhere around the world.
I'm Gary Garver, live from the John Lovitz Comedy Club.
This is the John Lovitz Vodcast Network.
Hi, John Lovitz here. It's time to put laughter back into your life. Check out the John Lovitz Comedy Club, located in the heart of Universal Studios City Walk, Los Angeles, not Orlando. For tickets, go to thejohnlovitzcomedyclub.com.
You are listening to the John Lovitz Vodcast Network.
Hey, are we back? We are. All right. Hey, hi, everybody. Real quick. Sitting next to me is Sarah Sweet.
Hey.
Sarah, so have you met Tom? This is Tom Likas.
Yeah.
Tom, there's your microphone. I know you know how to use that thing.
They told me not to sit too close because it's very powerful.
Did they really?
Yes.
Wow, I sit right up on it because I'm so used to that. And we're both so used to doing radio. I have to tell you, I almost feel like a little kid right now because I spent years being on the other side of your being on your show, and I've never interviewed you before.
Yeah, I know.
This is kind of weird.
I know.
How are you feeling right now?
Well, for me, it's like a day off because you do all the hard work.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing all the heavy lifting now.
I don't know if it's hard work. Most of the time I see you have a glass of wine and shit.
That's true.
I don't know how hard the work
That's
is.
true.
It's not coal mining. I don't see any coal miners in there going, hand me a hammer, all right, and a glass of Cabernet. It's not happening. Speaking of wine, big on the wine, I know you are. You have a wine show, is that correct?
I do. It's 8 years in the running.
Wow.
Yeah.
I remember when it started.
Oh, yeah.
Back when you just had, Mogan David and
Exactly.
the Mad Dog 2020.
That's right.
So it's a show that basically discusses the finer elements of wine, where to find it, what's the better wine.
Well, it's wine, it's beer, it's distilled
beer
spirits.
too.
Yeah, we do craft beer and we do.
I haven't heard about that part. You sounded classy a few minutes ago.
No, but these are the good beers. These are the ones that.
Really?
Yeah.
So like if I said Genesee Cream Ale.
No, we would not be talking. The brewmaster for Budweiser will not be a guest.
Oh, okay, yeah, Genesee Cream Ale. That was the ale of champions for me and my high school friends and my grandmother.
Yes.
Who ended up with my grandmother. I would get her a 6-pack of Jenny Cream, and she was a happy gal.
That's upstate New York, baby. That was everybody went to SUNY, Binghamton.
Right,
SUNY,
that's right. That's exactly right. And
yeah.
we had it come down to Philadelphia. I think it stopped right there.
Yeah.
It went as far as Philly, didn't go
by
anywhere.
law, I think it stopped right there.
After it gave my grandmother the shits.
Yes, understood.
I think it put her in the grave a year early.
Yes.
This stuff was the worst. Genesee Cream Ale. I used to put salt in it just to make it better, but we would chug it, and it was wonderful. It had a little. Now I sound like a beer connoisseur, but so you have beers and wines. What about other
booze?
You have that as well.
Top shelf booze.
So you couldn't just stick with the wine. You had to expand your horizons.
No, we were always doing that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, wine is what we do most, but we do the other stuff too, because many people who like good wine also like good beer and good booze.
Yeah. Are there people that are the trifecta? Are there people
I
that
am.
do all three?
I do all three.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, and that never led to any problems?
No, because the key with the good stuff is it just like good food.
Because you're sipping it.
Well, if you eat good food, you generally don't eat like a pig. Like if you're getting the munchie meal at Jack in the Box,
right.
You know, if you get a little piece of Kobe steak or something, you're going to savor that.
Yeah.
And same thing with good wine, good booze, good beer. You sip, you don't guzzle.
Yeah. See, I have a problem with that.
Well, you're an alcoholic, right?
Shut up. Sarah, I love that she started.
Wow.
She goes, and she just kind of faded out.
Moderation
I just
isn't
realized.
something that they do.
Well, I'm.
You've outed
See,
yourself.
Tom. The thing is, when I would have a glass in front of me, the purpose was not to sip or enjoy. It was to get drunk.
Right.
So how do you discern which person you are, or the people that you're advising? How do you? I mean,
people who want to bang a suitcase or Natty Light, they don't listen to our show. We're not the show.
They listen to your other show,
right?
So that's for the Natty Light.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Yeah, I remember when I was drinking like pretty heavily, I didn't really care. I would actually, my first booze was, have you ever heard of Weasel Piss? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in New York City.
Yeah, okay. Weasel Piss was when you combine booze that you steal out of your grandparents' liquor cabinet. You never did that and put it in a big glass?
That must be a Philly expression. I've never heard that.
You must have been sipping for a long time because I was guzzling.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you would take booze and out of a cabinet. You would raid somebody's cabinet and you would take a little bit of each and it would make this concoction. It would taste it horrible.
Like sludge.
Yeah, and I would drink it with my nose closed because I didn't care. I just cared about what it was going to do to me.
Right.
So this would give me the courage to try to fuel Patty Ellis up. And hopefully she'll be drinking the same weasel piss.
Right.
That also gives her the freedom to allow me to feel.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so you, what I really want to have you on to talk about is, I'm real interested in your perspective on a divorce because I've been through them as well. You've been through 4, is that right?
4 of them, yeah.
You've been through 4, and one of the most outspoken people, I'd say, who goes the full on. If there was a right wing and left wing, you would be. If you were right, you would be. You would be right of Pat Buchanan,
right,
in this regard, and you would be left of the Kennedys if it was left.
Yes.
So whichever direction it is, you're far in it.
I'm an extremist.
You're exactly. So when you're an extremist in your perspective on how to deal with relationships, and it's all spawned from your past.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. And the past of many guys I've known.
Many guys you've known who now follow you. Now I heard that they actually consider you, a lot of your followers or fans or listeners or frequent listeners, they like call you dad. Or
the dad they never had, yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So you find that's your core?
Well, yeah, because we have the first adult generation now of guys who were mostly raised by single moms.
Yeah, I'm one.
No male presence. And that makes a difference. A lot of guys don't know how to act like guys. They don't know how to close a deal. How to get the deal done. They've been told they should cry and be sensitive and respect women. And then you hear songs over the years like that song of the 90s, Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? Well, they were raised by single moms to be a bunch of crying emos.
Wow, is that what I am?
Well, but Believe me, you're not alone. There's a lot of them out there. It's my core audience, Greg.
You kind of slipped in they're raised to respect women, like that's a bad thing.
No. When I talk about respecting women, we're talking about the kind of respect where you would say, would you mind if I kiss you? That's not a very effective way.
Great. Now we're off and running.
Yes, that's
it's
not
a great place to launch from, Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every woman I've ever known wants you to take the initiative and kiss her. Okay, so these guys now are asking for permission for everything. We've gone from guys who slap her around back 100 years ago to guys now go, could I hold your hand, please? And there's a lot of that now.
Right.
Yeah.
Asking permission.
And you don't want to go back to the slapping caveman.
No.
You don't even want to go back to the 50s with Mad Men.
No.
Although the cocktails with Mad Men are very nice. But you want to go to you want to create some new paradigm. Is that what I'm hearing?
And my new paradigm is to say, look, marriage, extinct for the most part. It's dead, dying, done. Relationships, few benefits for men. A lot of benefits for kids, a lot of benefits for women.
Yeah.
No benefits for guys.
Okay.
None. And so what I'm saying is that your life should be a series of friends with benefits.
Okay.
You have a bullpen. You have 4 or 5 women that you call upon on a regular basis. And then, if they're on the rag or they're having a problem of some kind, they're angry, you just go to the next name on the list. You don't put up with everybody's daily issues.
Sarah thinks she's being punked right now.
But it's not.
It's great. But by the way, this is great to have Sarah in the room, and I'm the perfect guy, literally in the middle right here.
Yes.
If you're watching on TV, I'm literally in the middle because I am in the middle on this because I can understand some of this. I'm about to have a daughter next week. Can't wait till she's in the bullpen on the rag.
Yes.
But
or on the pole.
Or on the pole.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, what if you had daughters? Like, what? I mean,
I don't have daughters.
I know you have.
I have other people's. I have other people's daughters.
Yeah.
That's a line. That's a
Other
punchline.
Yeah.
I don't have a daughter. I have other people's daughters.
So now, how deep do you want to go today, Tom?
I'll go as deep as you want. Yes.
Okay. So I want to start to unpeel some of this to get to the core of what would make a man make these decisions, because they're very, very clear decisions that you've made. And obviously, you get the labels of sexist and all the other stuff that's happened. I know there was even a lawsuit from a woman, and I think
in
Seattle.
Alaska.
Alaska.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they have nothing better to do.
She sued me.
Although I shouldn't have said that because she'll sue me next.
Yes, exactly right.
But I mean, this is over. But you won because of First Amendment rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
I won. The fact is, this was a nuisance suit. She claimed that I gave her post-traumatic stress disorder.
Right.
Which is what people get in Vietnam when they see their buddy's head get cut off by the rotor of the helicopter.
Right.
You can't tell me that me on the radio mentioning your letter that you wrote to the station manager gave you PTSD. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And she sued me for $2.7 million.
Oh, my God. John Lovitz just gave me the finger. I am so honored. He just gave me the finger. All sorts of celebrities are stopping in today. No, Lovitz, you can't come on. I know it's your place. But we're honored to have Tom Likas as our guest. Yes. And it's really cool to be on the other side of this. No, Lovitz, I don't care. You're not opening the door. I know it's your door. By the way, I saw you on the Tonight Show. Okay, say hi to Tom.
How are you, John?
Poke your head in so we can say you were a celebrity on our show today. Just poke your head in now. That's enough. Now go away. So there's.
Just want to say hi to Tom.
There's some handsome men right there.
Nice to see you. It's
nice to see you too.
Yeah.
John, I saw a clip of you on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in 1985. It was really funny.
Oh, yeah.
Not to say that you're not doing funny things currently, but I just happened to see that the other day.
Yes, it was the first time I was on the show. You didn't even see my face.
You were on as the liar. It was really good. You should
in
look
the
at that.
Groundlings, yeah.
Yeah, it was really funny. But
looks like my son.
It's not about you. I'm reading the audition. I got the audition book sent to me, by the way. See, I do listen.
You're welcome.
I bought it on. And don't say you're welcome yet. I'm only a page into it. But I did buy it. I did make the perfect.
Well, if you have questions, ask me.
I will. He's great at auditioning. He gets a lot of parts. And I'm making this transition in my life to more acting as well. Tom Likas is here. Day. So, Tom, I really want to know, first of all, I used to listen to you in the previous you.
Yes.
Because we're talking a lot today about transformation and change. And you also said goodbye to what was a very political radio show.
I did.
Yeah.
By the way, I said goodbye to radio. February would be 5 years since I did a radio show.
Well, that's then, but I'm talking about I used to listen to you in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it was really compelling and wonderful, really great political stuff. And I was riveted. And then you got into this other guy. I want to know how that other guy happened.
Well, it happened because in 1994 is a very specific thing that happened.
Good.
I went into syndication. So my show went from being heard in L.A.
That's the political one.
Right, to being heard in 27 markets when we started,
Right.
as many as 100.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were at the broadcasting convention where everybody is promoting their syndicated shows. During that particular convention in 1994, a consultant named Ed Shane sat on a panel and told people, if you want your station to be successful, everybody has to have the same opinion as Rush Limbaugh.
Oh, my God.
And here I am with a new syndicated show, and this
The
guy's
opposite
telling
of
me,
Rush Limbaugh.
don't put shows like that on. That's
You were the opposite.
Of course.
He was extremely, I don't like to use the label, but you would call it very liberal, bent in what he was saying on his political show.
Right.
And then Rush Limbaugh came along and was making mega millions, and he was the voice of the right wing who were pretty much cast aside by what one would call liberal media, of which you represented, quote unquote, liberal media in what you were doing. So now it's 1994. They're basically saying we need more Rush Limbaughs.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
They're giving you these marching orders. We don't want you for what you've established for all these years and grew an audience.
You call a station and you say, we have the Tom Leykis show. It's our new product, Westwood One. Would you like to carry the show? And they would say, well, is he conservative?
Because that's what was working on, especially on AM radio.
Right.
Yes.
So we banged away for almost 3 years trying to sell our show. It was like selling ice to the Eskimos. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So in 1997...
Well, hold on one second. Were you making changes all during this? Were you trying to move to a more conservative platform? You were still being you.
I was being me.
Yeah.
I was being me and trying to be me in a variety of ways, but
still not discussing sex, divorce,
not to the extent we do
relationships.
today.
Not to the extent, but pretty much not, though, as I recall.
Mostly
Maybe
not.
now in '94 you started to wander into that.
You know, when I worked at KFI in the late 80s,
Yeah.
I did 6 days a week. And my Saturday show, which I did not want to do, and they put a gun to my head and they made me do it, it was called The Hangover Show.
A gun is called $1 million, but go ahead.
Yes, exactly right. Here's what
Case of money.
Here's what happened. I did 3 to 7 during the week, and then on Saturday I had to come in at 9 a.m. So I'm like, look, whatever after Friday night, whatever you get Saturday morning is what you get.
Right.
And so the germ of what I do now is that Saturday show that I did on KFI.
Call it the Hangover show. Yeah, right. Okay.
One day I
missing everything but a tiger you're banging.
Well, you know, and so here you got that AM audience, very old, and I would come in and say, I'm sorry I was 30 seconds late, but I was having sex and I didn't know what time it was, and so I got right over here as fast as I could, and I gave out the phone number. It was 4 hours. People going, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you're talking about having sex. At least you know I'm straight. Doesn't that make you feel better? And 4 hours of people calling in and complaining about the fact that I said that. So that's how this got started.
But the needle started going.
Right.
Yeah.
But also over time, I had done a variety of fill-in appearances on the Chicago station, The Loop. So literally, I'd be on vacation, and I would leave L.A., and I would fly to Chicago, and I would do the Steve Dahl show or the Jonathan Brandmeier show or the Kevin Matthews show. And when I saw what they were doing there with talk and music and younger listeners, I said, this is where I'm going.
Really?
And that opening came for me when KLSX decided to put me on in the afternoon with Howard Stern in the morning.
That's right, yeah.
And so what I had to do is
now you have to keep that sort of audience, which is basically young males.
Right.
Who are very fatherless, confused, sexual.
Sex obsessed.
Sex obsessed, exactly. Right.
But I had to do a show that was not a copy of Howard Stern because Howard, over the years, has always, peed all over any show that appeared to be encroaching into his territory.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So I always made a point of saying, we're not doing the Howard Stern show. We're doing a show that if you like Howard, you might also like what we do, but our show was always focused on phone calls, interaction with the audience, and very little in the way of guests. You were one of the few guests who made it through. I'm one of the few who got on because mostly it was me and the callers.
Yeah, I was on quite a few times, and it
Yeah.
was fun. I also loved on the way in the listening and having girls flash me. That was great.
Right, right, exactly.
He would have girls flash their boobs on Fridays.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
wonderful. Thank you for that addition. That one I'm on his side, Sarah.
Yeah, I know. You like boobs. I get it.
I like to see a naked boob.
Yeah, I know.
Let me ask you this, Sarah.
doesn't?
Let me ask you this. Who
Yeah.
doesn't? You don't.
Well,
And-
I'm female.
Right, okay, and a straight female. Let me ask you something. If he had penis Thursdays,
No, because we're built differently. Men and women. are
I'm
built
just
differently.
asking you. Let me complete this.
Sure.
Okay? So the guy's driving along, right? And then penis Thursday, he now raises up and shows you his junk, and you're driving along. Tell me you wouldn't look, and you wouldn't have a lot of curiosity.
I mean,
You wouldn't?
I mean, I'm sure I'd look. Yeah. Who, like,
A
it's
man
even-
is showing you his penis?
But we're not visual like men are.
I know you're
we're
not.
As we're built biologically, we're just different. Like
Which-
I like the penis that I love penises. I love what they do. I think they're awesome. It takes me a second to adjust to a new penis once I start sleeping with them. At first, the reaction is like, ugh.
Really?
And then it's like, oh, I love this penis.
I would have that reaction. I still do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and penises don't do it for me.
No,
I
not
go,
for me.
"Ugh." I have, so we all share that. But
makes
still,
them
there's a fascination that a man is showing you his junk because you don't normally see it. It's underneath. It's in the garage.
It's not a fascination. It's like I have to get used to this one because it's like, oh, they're trimmed differently, or they're not trimmed at all, or their balls are smaller.
I'm not
Like,
getting
it's-
used to it. You're on the freeway and he's flashing it to you. You don't have to get used to it, adjusted with that fit in me.
I don't think
I'm not-
I'd want to look. I think it'd be scary.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
I feel- yeah.
Doesn't work for her. So, but it did work for me. That was one element that did. Now, here's the part that that I have confusion with, so I would come in there, and then there's part of me that has so much fun in the male-female relationships, but then there's another part of me that has a different experience than you of having a wonderful marriage. So I'm not for you, or you're not for me. So
let me tell you about that.
In other words, you've had 4 failed marriages. I had 2 failed marriages and a successful, wonderful marriage, of which I get all of what I would want to get out of life in this marriage, the things that you're saying that don't happen.
Right.
So how do you...
I have your explanation,
Okay,
and that is this. Sometime in the next month, someone's going to win Powerball, and he's going to be very happy with what he's got, his $336 million.
Yeah.
He's going to be a very happy man, and he's going to say, why are you down all the time? Why are you so negative? Why don't you be like me, happy all the time? And the reality is, most people are not going to win Powerball.
Oh, I won the equivalent of
You did?
I won a Powerball.
You found the needle in the haystack.
Okay, you're saying... Okay, I'm getting it now.
Okay.
You're saying in general, and that's why you have so many listeners, that they've got this haystack that they're just going, fuck the hay.
Right.
I'm moving on.
I'm keeping my own apartment.
Right.
I'm putting a big screen in the living room because my ex would never let me have a big screen in the living room. No, that's what they say.
Mine doesn't let me have it in the bedroom. But okay,
There you go.
I've accepted it.
All
though.
these guys who've lived with man caves because they've been sent to the
Yeah.
basement.
I'd build a tree fort.
Understood.
I literally build a tree fort so I could actually look at the place that I bought.
Does it
that
have
I have
DirecTV?
no say what goes in it.
Do you have a cable
it had
modem,
TV,
DirecTV
it
and
had
everything?
sense around,
Great.
You're talking
couch.
about your past
It's my
relationship.
past. Okay, I don't have that
Oh,
now.
okay.
I built a tree fort up in the trees.
Yes.
Literally, so
To
I
get
could be
away.
above it all and just kind of look down at what could have been. That was with my
Right.
ex-wife.
Exactly.
I was forced to do that.
I understand.
Basically. So I understand both camps.
Yeah, but the
But
point
can't
is,
you give people hope by saying you can find the needle in the haystack
It's-
if you commit to a certain way of being and know that it is out there and hold hope?
so it would be
Are
like
you for the hopeless?
It would be like the slogan for the New York Lottery. Hey, it could happen to you. But they don't finish the sentence because, but it probably won't.
So you're making a nickel over the probably won'ts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more probably won'ts than,
There
than
sure
winners
are.
with holding up the big check.
Wow, you're right about that. What do you have to say about that, Sarah?
I think, yeah, I mean, it's speaking to the probably wants, and I totally understand that relationships are hard, and everybody has their past junk from being raised by dysfunctional people, and
Yeah.
then and then maybe there's hope in the solution of what it takes where you finally got to that point, maybe, or if it's just dumb luck that he found that person.
No,
you
for
know,
sure
or,
not that.
Or if it's a process of like how you evolve and get ready for that lottery winning.
I'll tell you what it took tuning out the Tom Leikuses, but in turn, not tuning it out, but tuning into having fun with it. I used to, come on the show and just have fun and, make fun of, let me ask you this. Is there part of you that doesn't truly, be honest with us, there's only 3 people listening.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there part of you that truly is a showman? Stern has talked about this. Andrew Dice Clay has talked about this. When you confront someone, they say, no, I'm doing a show. It's an act. Is there part of you that it is an act?
I have a different explanation for it. Sometimes I'm telling a joke.
Yeah.
And people take it seriously.
Sure. Yeah.
For example, I went on one day and I said that I was in the studio masticating with a banana.
Mm-hmm.
And just took complaint calls from people going, there were children listening. I can't believe you would do that.
Right.
Now, those people took me seriously. They thought I was having sex
remember,
with a
you
banana.
drew in these unintelligent listeners that don't know that masticate means chew.
Right.
You're the one that brought them in.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then they're one after another. How dare you?
Right.
Right, yeah.
Yes. So, of course, my show is, if you think of life as a pie, you're getting a slice of the pie and you're not getting the whole pie. Why? Well, because there's some parts of my life that are not that interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say probably most of my life is not that interesting. You know, I went to, I was in San Francisco, went through a toll booth. I was waiting in line at Ralph's, my Ralph's Club card. There's a lot of things that just you don't want to know about, okay?
Well, we just did. I will acknowledge, indeed, they are boring.
Yes, exactly.
So
what
is it that gives you fulfillment and happiness? Where you talked about money, for instance. I mentioned it earlier. If someone hands me a check, I'm not going, oh my God, I feel fantastic. You really don't. I've been handed large checks. So have you. You haven't had laughs from those checks. You haven't had happiness.
No.
True happiness.
Not from the checks themselves.
From the checks themselves.
Not from the checks themselves, but
from what you spend on.
What you spend on. I bought a 20-acre ranch up in northern Santa Barbara County, up in wine country.
What does that do for you?
Oh, my God. Mental peace.
That's where you really
feel it. A place to
it.
work, a place to think,
yes.
A place to come up with ideas.
Well, there you created the happiness.
Right. But I did it with money.
Right.
I had to have money to buy a 20-acre ranch in wine country.
Which you had to, okay.
That sounds awesome.
It does sound awesome. That sounds like a life that you created. What about sharing with someone?
I share with my friends. But the
They're
problem...
your family.
They are my family.
Yeah, I have that too. I understand.
But let's face it, sharing with chicks you're dating ends up in, nowadays, you end up in court half the time. You end up, as somebody is sending pictures of your junk to TMZ, somebody is talking about giving your home address out online, somebody is taking you to court and saying that you promised to take care of them for the rest of their lives and you owe them $7 million. There's no joy in that.
I'm going to be somewhat of a different consciousness here. I want to bring up something that I would believe that you drew that type of woman in because you didn't feel good enough about yourself. I'm being a therapist now. You didn't feel good enough about yourself of what you would share, that you had to basically bring them in through means of money and property and prestige.
But never. And I'll tell you why.
So you don't think that all these women...
I make it clear, and people who listen to my show, and many people...
I'm talking about in the past.
I'm talking about the past.
Wives from
past,
20 years
present,
a wife
whenever.
from 20 years ago.
I always made it clear.
Yeah.
I've had prenuptial agreements.
Yeah.
We're not here for the money.
Right.
If you love me, you will sign this because I will not marry you unless you promise not to take...
Don't you think in the back of their mind they're going, yeah, but I'll still get all the other benefits? I'm still living on that ranch.
Well, it's okay. But the point is they're not going to leave with any
do you think they're thinking
lovely parting gifts. They might be.
Okay, but they might be is the key to what I'm saying.
But it's not just people with money.
You think that there might be.
I'm talking to guys who make $30,000 a year who have wives trying to take from them in divorce court and drag them over the hot coals.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah.
I mean, it's at every level. So it is not just people who have a lot of money. You have to look. There are some people who think a guy making $30,000 a year. You know, he's employed. He's a good guy. You know what? If things don't work out, I'm going to take half of that.
But have you had a relationship with somebody that you have drawn in magnetically through character, through love, and through, you know, commitment to such things? Have you ever brought anyone in like that where it feels organic and it feels real, where you can truly feel that love?
I have.
And there's not that backroom thought in your mind that's saying, "Oh my God, this isn't real. She wants something from me." Have you had that?
No, I have, but then there are other issues that come into play. I don't want to have kids.
Okay.
And women are fixers.
They think they're going to talk you into it, too.
Right. So they figure once they get the key to your front door and they're sitting on your sofa, they're going to convince you to do something that you would not do if you were just dating.
Right.
So they just figured that's what's going to happen. I've had more than one woman who got angry at me because I said I wouldn't have kids, even though I told them before they ever moved in.
Sure.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah. And what's the reason you came up with that proclamation?
I had a miserable childhood. I was raised by an abusive alcoholic, and I was the oldest of 4 kids, and I did my time with kids. I had to babysit for these kids while my dad was going down to the Emerald Pub on Long Island, drinking his life away. I had to sit home and take care of my siblings. So now, I've done my time.
And now you've got your audience of people that share that with you, and I am part of that audience of being a very similar, background, poverty, moving, being evicted, abused, emotionally abused to this day, and so on. But I guess you come to that point in the road where you go, don't want that, I don't want to visit that, where I'm going, I want to improve that and make that into what I dreamt of when I was a child.
Right.
So that's where you and I went to 2 different roads.
Now, I have other ways that I do what you do. For example,
How's that?
Every year I have something I call Orphan Thanksgiving.
Uh-huh.
So rather, my family lives 3,000 miles away, my siblings, my nieces and nephews and everything. So I invite people, many of them are in the entertainment industry, who have to work on Thanksgiving, TV, radio. They have to show up and do a shift that day.
Yeah.
I invite them over and I make a traditional Thanksgiving dinner in every sense. I cook a turkey for 20 people. There's a fireplace. There's football. There's everything made from scratch. It's the antithesis of what
you hire a drunken uncle.
No.
It tells bad stories.
Drunken uncles are forbidden.
It's a grandmother that pisses herself. None of that?
No.
Come on, that's tradition.
That's what I grew up with.
You want to go, exactly. If you really want tradition, that's what you say.
I wanted the Norman Rockwell tradition.
Of course we did,
that we never had.
That's what you create every Thanksgiving.
Every Thanksgiving.
You create that.
Yes.
And what I'm saying is you could create that every single day, and you're saying I'm going to take this one day in November and just create.
I'm saying I don't want the responsibility. I see how people worry about their kids. They childproof their homes. The things you have to worry about today with kids, playing the tasting game with their teachers in Long Beach, wherever that happened. You remember that story, right?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the things that people have to protect their kids from these days.
But you don't think that's another topic. I mean, that's a hell of a topic. It opens up a whole can of worms, so to speak, that I don't hold the belief that things are any different. I just think that there's more access to media that highlights or lowlights what is happening out there with pedophiles. Look, did you have any experiences with pedophiles when you were a kid?
No one ever completed any action with me. They just inquired about my interest in things.
Okay, so but you know that it pretty much almost every guy, especially without a father, your father was drunk, mine was gone. Most kids without a father have something that goes on that is inappropriate and life destroying and really difficult to deal with because you're entrusting a man.
Right.
And this is the only guy that you can trust, and you put your faith in this guy, and then he betrays it completely.
But the other thing that's different today is that when I was a kid, back going to school in 1961 at PS 70 in the Bronx, my mom was a stay-at-home housewife. She was June Cleaver. The Bronx version. No pearls. Okay, so my dad went off to work and my mom was home and she picked me up at school and she took me. Now, nowadays, what do you have? You have 15-year-old girls having kids. So when the women are 20, the kids are 5, and they're going to school. And they're going to Everest College to study to be a dental technician or whatever, and they got no time to be with the kid. So they dump the kid into school as a form of daycare. And those teachers now have all this leg room to do things with those kids because the mother is too busy either finding the next sucker to father the next kid or trying to make a living or whatever they're doing. There's no moms at home making pudding for you and picking you up at school anymore. Mom now is, how about all the stories we see of the kids who are belted into the car, mom closes the windows and goes into A, a casino, B, a bar, C, a strip club while the kid is sitting in the car at 110 degrees.
I guess my premise is that happened then as well. It's just not as seen because people hid things back then. There was really a lot of hiding. Obviously, there was no internet, and obviously there was no, even computers and things like that in the old days. But I think that things were going on as much as they are today in confessional booths. With,
no doubt.
The priest thing has been going on
doubt.
for how long? It's now just coming about that we're discussing it.
Right.
So does that make it happening more, or is it just now we're being
I have no way of knowing, but now that I'm aware of all of this stuff to the extent that I am.
You wouldn't want to bring a child into that. That's part of the equation?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I think to the opposite. I think bring them in and you then get to, like I just had somebody compliment me on my children. Really brought tears to my eyes. Unsolicited. Big speech, too. She kept talking. I was like, all right, hold on. She kept saying, oh, my God, your kids I could hang out with most. And by the way, she was saying most kids I don't even like. She goes, but your kids, but that's what I would want to, quote unquote, bring into the world is to help the world shift into a nice dynamic where we can shift away from this crap that you're talking about, this violation of children, of which you and I were violated.
Right. And by the way, I salute people who are good at raising kids, who are devoted to it. I'm a protector of kids. I like kids. That's one thing people don't understand about me.
That's something very interesting.
I
would not have thought you would say that. Bill Maher will tell you, because he's of that ilk, hates kids.
No, I love
kids.
Them
away from
I love how they think. I love talking to them. I love hanging out with them. I absolutely love it.
Are you Uncle Tom?
I have.
He's an Uncle Tom.
I have. I'm an Uncle Tom to many. No, I have several nieces and nephews who when I'm on the East Coast, I spend
embrace
time.
them. And
Absolutely,
just really dig hanging out
thrilled
with
to see them. Absolutely.
Did they allow you alone with them?
Yes, they do, because my family knows me. But
what do you do with them?
Oh, well,
I hope you're not coaching them.
No, not
Let
yet.
me tell you what's in store for you, kid.
Right.
Listen, your sister's going to be on the rag someday and put in a bullpen.
That's right.
That's right. What do you say to them?
I do have a stripper pole in my home, and they always ask what that is.
Do you really?
I have to explain.
Why not?
I have to.
Right. Sarah.
Yeah. What?
Sarah, come with me here. So
yeah,
tell me
I totally think it's cool to make a choice to not have kids. Like, I think that's everybody's choice. I think that's great.
Yeah, but it's the reasoning. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's absolutely. I have several friends they made the choice, and by the way, it's married too.
Yeah.
My self-thought sometimes I go, why would somebody be married? I sort of go to the Lycus version. I go, why would somebody be married if you don't have kids? Because part of being married is, you give the kid a name, you do it together and so forth. But so much does end up in divorce.
Right.
So I guess you're taking those statistics and allowing them to sort of guide you. Is that correct?
Well, the United States started taking the census in the year 1790, and every 10 years in 1790. Yeah. And the 2010 census, for the first time, shows the majority of adults are single, not married.
The majority of adults are single and not married.
Correct.
That's the census since the 1700s?
It was married.
We always hear about George and Martha.
Right.
But we're not talking about George's kids who were all single kids.
No. What I'm saying is
homosexual boys.
1790, the majority was married. 1800, the majority was married. 1810, the majority was married. All the way up to 2000, the majority was married.
Oh, married.
Married.
I thought you said single.
No. 2010, now the majority are single.
Oh, I thought you said the opposite.
No, for the first time ever.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
because of you.
Not
Tom
well.
Lickes.
I know I've played my part.
You played your part,
Yes,
absolutely, in defining a new system, a new way of doing this.
Well, by the way, I don't tell guys not to have kids. I tell them, if you want to have kids, do what gays do. Get a surrogate mom and have complete control over your kid. No custody battles, no fighting, no alimony, no child
It
support.
sounds like you're very jaded, like by your past experiences.
I'm not only jaded by my past experiences because I didn't have kids. I am jaded by the reality of what I see in the world.
Or like
whether it's silly
But it's your
things-
reality, though.
Well, it's
But
the
it's your
it's the
reality of
Maury
women
show.
and what
It's
they're
the
It's the Maury show.
It's the Maury show, right?
Oh, no wonder I don't feel this way. I tune out of those things.
Well, if you
it makes me
watched-
very happy to tune away from those things.
because you cannot see the reality of what's going on.
But that's not reality. That's what they choose to see. Do you think Duck Dynasty is really real?
I do.
I think there are
believe-
elements of it that
I believe
are.
the Maury show is real.
I
do.
Well, first of all, I happen to know because I've been on these shows that they're not completely real. That they'll ask you to play a part. I remember
Jerry
I was
Springer
on
does that.
Geraldo years ago, and
Yes.
it was
I was on the Morton Downey Jr. show.
right. They would tell me backstage. They go, "This was a riot." I show up in New York. I fly in, and we're doing a segment called "Single Scarred in the '90s." It was either scarred or scared. I forget. They're both kind of the same.
Or both.
I don't remember how many R's were in it, but. So I show up there, and they go, "We have a guy that you're going to go against," and they were like trying to tell me to play the part of the good guy, and we're going to see what women want because they have the audience filled with women. You know who showed up and meet him in the elevator? My old friend. Out of all of New York, they had my old friend. I go, "You mean I have to debate?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm going to be the single guy that wants to stay single my whole life, and I'm the bartender." I go, "Really? I have to attack you now?" And we had to manufacture this thing. And, I saw Jerry Springer once, and this girl that I know, all of a sudden she's in a French maid costume, and so allegedly she does this. She doesn't do this for a living. She made it up. So a lot of this is made up, Tom. I hate to tell you this.
No, but I do believe...
You based your life on reality shows.
No, it's just one example. The point is that the reason Maury resonates with people, whether it's fake or not, is because this is really what's going on.
Well, it's going on for that element of people, and these are people that I would say made a choice. Like I said, there's the road. There's the why in the road. And you have a choice of, I had some misery. I still do, by the way, still dealing with some misery I talked about in the first hour with my parents and so on. But there's that choice. And I'm just wondering, is there something that compels you inside that says, I'm not willing to explore that choice? Is there some part of you that said, I'm too lazy. I don't want to even bother with that. Because I don't see the hope.
Unlike taking a bad job, which I've done.
Yeah.
We've all done.
Right.
And then saying, I quit. This, you cannot press the rewind button on having kids. If you have a kid and you find it not to your liking, and by the way, all the things that could go wrong. How many autism public service announcements do I have to see? How many about birth defects and stories of kids having the brain on the outside of their skull when they're born, and Siamese twins.
So you load up with all these negatives, right?
Cerebral palsy.
That confirm
mental retardation. I had an uncle. I had an uncle who was mentally retarded. He had the mentality of a 15-year-old, and that kind of thing is genetic. Who knows what that's going to pop up again.
That uncle and this list of things. These are I see them as reasons or justifications not to take a certain path. I'm not even talking about the path of children. Yeah. I'm talking about the path of love and committed love and things like that. Where are you saying that? You basically given up hope on finding that? That's not even in your repertoire?
I'm not even interested in it.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it's not that I've given up looking for it. It's that I'm not interested in it. I'm happy with my life the way it is. And as a matter of fact, here's what I like about my life as it is. I can predict everything from my happiness and what I'm going to be doing with my time to my costs of living and other things that people with kids cannot predict. You don't know when your kid is going to break his leg, or you don't know.
You really wait a minute. That's giving yourself a lot of power there. You can't predict these things.
We
couldn't have predicted what happened with radio. We couldn't have predicted what your bosses.
I did.
Well, you weren't prepared for it because suddenly they said to you, "We need another Rush Limbaugh," and now you're adjusting on the fly and you're changing your whole dynamic, and now you're off on Lycus 101.
But I continue to be gainfully employed because I knew how to navigate that water, and I planned for that.
And I could be gainfully a father and navigate those difficulties.
You can,
right?
But the point is that I want as few surprises in my life as possible. I like the fact that when I come home, it's going to be quiet. There's not going to be any unexpected problems I'm going to find out about. Maybe I have a leak, and I call the plumber and I fix it. But I'm not going to come home and find out the kid smashed his head and has to be going to the emergency room and things like that happen to parents.
I'm going to go back to my therapist. You like safety. You like to know. It gives you comfort.
It does.
To have some sort of a feeling of.
I'll go back to my
sameness.
therapist because I did 9 years of therapy, and
Okay.
I will go back to my therapist.
Yeah.
And what we talked about in therapy, and here it was, I like to have control of my life.
Yeah.
I don't like other people being able to control where I am, what I do. Even if there's a leak and I have to call the plumber, the point is I'm calling the plumber. I was the one who hired the guy who put the pipe in, and that's why.
And what is it about that control that makes you happy?
I just feel at ease knowing that everything is as much as possible, unless
As
I'm
much
hit
as
by
possible,
a bus.
right.
It's never complete control, but having as much control.
And
of
you
my life
guard
as
your
possible.
options by, keeping as many people out of that system as
There's not
possible.
going to be any drama. There's not going to be anybody calling 911 saying I threw a glass at them. There's not going to be that stuff where people suddenly take control of your life. Not going to be paying any child support where the person could take me back to family court for 25 years and tell me I need to pay them more. Not going to be somebody collecting alimony from me. There's not going to be somebody telling me what I can and can't do in my own house.
Well, what if those things, and by the way, I've had half those things, including, well, it wasn't a glass, it was a knife thrown at me. But
okay.
But what if those are opportunities to grow and even be happier and more fulfilled if you look at it as, oh my God, I'm not in control here, because we're obviously not in control of your destiny. You don't know when you're going to die. You could walk out of here and be hit by a car.
No
all
doubt.
of that.
But all the time I'm here, I want to have as much control as I can have.
As much as you can.
I don't want
And
other
you think
people
that leads
controlling
to
it.
fulfillment.
But I don't only feel it, I feel it every day.
You feel it
Every day. I'm feeling it sitting here.
What do you think about that? We in our romantic relationships, we act out a lot of the traumas from our past until
No
those
doubt.
are healed. You know, so it's
Absolutely.
like maybe the chaos and the feeling of needing to be controlled comes, at least in my own experience of being raised in an alcoholic home, like that is, as a person, a codependent person, then I, want to control things in my reality. Yeah. And then
you
I
bring
have
up a very
picked
good point. My dad was very demanding and controlling, and I was always being told what I could and couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I was being told that I was not allowed to state my opinion on certain things.
Sure.
Right.
Hence,
don't question authority.
I went into talk radio because, as I always said, I could speak all the way to the end of the sentence and be heard by complete strangers.
Yeah, that's why I got into comedy.
My dad would not listen.
Right.
Yeah, and a lot of times in then relationships, we act out like some of those past things, like for our own growth and to evolve past it. And I think it's interesting to be like, I don't want to do any of that.
By the way, one of the reasons I was married 4 times was because my parents were married for 40 years. And when I failed at marriage, I believed it had to be my fault. I did it wrong.
Right, right.
So I kept trying to do what they did and have what they had.
Yeah.
And then at one point I realized, maybe it worked for them. They got married in 1955 when the life was different. But I don't think it works in 2014.
But I would venture to say that it did not
Except
work
for lucky
them.
guys like you.
It did not work for them. It didn't work for them because you saw what happened was it was a toxic relationship because you've got this, as you described, this drunken guy that goes to the bar. There's no good spirit of connection between the two.
No.
She's doing her job and he's doing his job.
Right.
And that's where we get into a rut.
But they grew up with parents like that. And so just like I tried to do the 40-year marriage thing because my parents did it.
Right.
They first of all, they came together in a relationship where the things, the dysfunctionality of their parents relating to them was repeating itself in their life. And so I suddenly realized I'm going to stop hitting my head against the wall. I'm going to stop trying to get married. I'm going to stop trying to recreate a toxic situation. I'm going to have control over what I do and where I am, and no one's going to be telling me you can't do this or you have to do this. You have to give me money. You have to go to this wedding of this person you don't know and don't care about. I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be finding out that I've got obligations that I had nothing to do with creating. I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Now, do you have are you okay with being people's higher power, basically? I mean,
sure.
You're okay with that?
I am,
I
because
can't stand the responsibility of that.
I'm very open about who I am. I
Right.
mean, all the stuff I'm telling you
Yeah.
these are not revelations. My audience knows all.
I'm with you. I'm the same way.
people know
Exactly.
what-
We're doing the same thing. That's ironic.
Right.
We just are doing it in a different way.
Exactly.
And what gives us both happiness are completely different.
Right. And my advice is based on my experience.
Right.
And your mileage may vary, and that's really
Right.
the way it is.
Right.
And so if you listen, if you relate to my story, if you understand what I'm telling you, if you empathize with what I've gone through, if you've gone through the same things I've gone through, let me tell you, I'm older now. I'm 57 years old. I'm down the road a piece, and I can tell you how to avoid doing the things I did.
Yes. Yeah, so you're sharing your mistakes with your children, basically, or
Right.
your audience.
Right. Don't do what I did.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that makes a lot of sense to me about what I'm hearing you say about, taking care of yourself, not letting somebody take your money, and having boundaries, essentially. But I don't think it's women's fault. Like, I don't think that I think dysfunctional women have their own problems.
I don't blame it on women. You know what? Every woman I've ever been with, I gave them the key to my front door.
Interesting.
I own it. I take full responsibility. You will never hear me on my show taking shots at ex-wives, ever.
Yeah.
Because who gave them the key to the front door?
Right.
Well, I love that. Then you're responsible because you know that you've created this.
Right.
We talked about that earlier.
And I tell
You're
the callers the
drawing
same
this in
thing.
intentionally. This is your intention. You're stating your intention in the world of law of intention. You're stating it and living it, and it's led to your happiness and your comfort. And I have no problem with it. I'm just fascinated by it because we come from a core, very similar core space. Both of us do, and we just took different roads to get to our own happiness.
Right.
And I can honor yours, and I love that you honor mine as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what's cool. That's
Yeah.
why we can hang.
And I do believe in sacred relationships and partnerships. For my own personal
Right.
wants and desires is co-creating a life with somebody, and I think that is possible, and compromise and growth in that, in relationships. I think that those are the best mirrors, I think, for growth.
So you probably want to follow more of kind of my path
Yeah.
than his. You're not going to go out and buy a pole after this.
Well,
I will tell you that I tell the guys that if you have to compromise, it's the wrong person.
compromise in
Anyway.
What do you think about that, Craig? Like, do you think that there's compromise in relationships?
Wow, that's a really. I'm going to just put my little suit on and think of the way it is with my wife. I have not compromised a single bit in this relationship. Not.
That's why it's so good.
I haven't.
Like, you
I
can
haven't
be
let go
fully
of-
you, and she can be fully her,
Fully.
and it works. You're
Fully.
compatible.
Tom, there's no angst of what am I doing wrong. There's no punishing for doing the wrong things. I actually have had jokes for years about how it's a woman's world, which does sort of vibe with what you're saying. Is look at the commercials for the buy the love. You got to go to Jared. What a
Right.
message that is.
Exactly.
I'm going to buy your love. Why don't we just say we're all hookers? And we're all pimps.
There was,
You know what I mean?
there was a billboard in Seattle for the Dodge Ram truck.
Yeah.
Here's what it was only in Seattle. Here's what the billboard said. Does more than most husbands.
Oh my God.
Well, I got news for you, lady. I bet the husband is paying for the Dodge Ram truck. You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's things we mindlessly accepted, and we almost make jokes of it, but it ain't funny when you really, if you boil it down to the core, it ain't funny. Honey-do lists are not funny.
Right.
Because you know what a honey-do list? That means I'm working for you. You're not my partner. I'm working for you.
Right.
And I will be applauded. I used to live with women, and if I would get a little pat, that was my love.
Right.
And I would accept, I would have crumbs and I make cake out of it. Oh my God, they give me a couple crumbs. And I go, I'll make a cake.
Yeah.
Here, let's gather them together. And then I would perform all the time for them as opposed to just being authentically me, which is our goal in life. You're saying do it in your own home with your own pole and your own Thanksgiving turkey that
And
you're cooking.
When you come to my
and
house,
inviting
and
your friends over.
When you see
Yeah.
my house, it is a physical representation of me, my personality. It feels like me. It looks like me. It is me.
When am I going to get invited to this?
Come on over.
I still hang out with my single bachelor friends.
What are you doing? Super
Bowl been up
Sunday?
to Franklin's house? That's like the new.
No.
Oh, you're serious? I should take you there. Tom Jones sings there for 10 people.
Really?
It's awesome. Oh, he's got naked women
Love
walking
that.
around. This is your type of spot.
Love that.
Oh, this place is amazing. And I go visit it. I visit it, and I just say,
good to me.
"Yeah, this is good for you. It's great for me." And I bring my kids.
Yeah, I love that.
The little blend of everything. I think that's the whole idea. Is wait, a whole blend. That means we're out of here. Jeez, that went fast like this.
Did go fast.
Great
Very
to see
good.
you again. When am
Good
I
to see
coming to
you
your
too.
house? When am I? I
Come
want to
on
do your
over.
show.
Let's do it.
I want to bring
I'm
my
right-
perspective to your audience that will yell at me and hate me.
I'm right here in Burbank, right over here in Burbank,
All
next
right.
to your
How can we
Come
see
on
you?
down.
Give me a quick promo.
Oh, okay. You can hear our show. We don't have cameras. It's blowmeuptom.com. That's the website. And you can hear us on demand at premiumtom.com.
Premiumtom.com.
Yes.
I like that.
You get the really good stuff.
That's the good stuff.
Yes.
Naked chicks?
No.
Last time I was there was some chick, she was pressing her boobs against the window.
Oh, don't worry.
Just for entertainment purposes.
Yes, exactly.
We don't have that around here.
Right.
We got Sarah smoking electronic cigarettes. That's what we get around here. That's our excitement. Listen, I hope you all enjoyed today's show. Please spread the word around, CraigShoemakerShow.com. The more you rate us on iTunes and the more you give us reviews, the better we do and the more expanded out we go. And you'll find out about the other things that I have in store. Let's stay in touch because I might have announced my retirement. That doesn't mean I'm going to go be on a golf course. The creation is going to be manifesting itself in different ways. And all these ways are hopefully where we can keep connected. Don't you love connecting with people? Of
course.
It's one of the reasons we do it. That's why I feel a kindred spirit with you, even though we took these different roads. Tom Likas, thank you for being here. And also, how about Steve Jones popping in
Yeah,
today?
that was
Jonesy's Jukebox from the Sex Pistols, and even John Lovitz himself. Just
his first day.
What a great day to start the new year. Who do we have next week? I know my friend Pamela Ackerman's coming in. Somebody else? And Ben Glebe, real funny dude. And talk about different, big pot smoker. I quit that long ago, so am I allowed to say that? I'm trying to bring in the potheads. So anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. Where do I look? Right there. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.